What is up everyone, Yami here, and this is going to be the first part of What If Naruto Was Megumi. I would just like to thank those that are linked in the YouTube section below. Make sure to check out their channels if you haven't. And I'm going to be stating the abilities of this, quirk or 10 shadows technique is what I'm going to basically call it. Since that's basically what Megumi's version of it is, if you guys have watched JJK, you'll know what I'm talking about, but basically, the user has the ability to manipulate his own shadows as well as others, and use his shadows to create Shikigami. Basically, bend them to his will as well, because they're creatures. So, he has to fight them, beat them up, and then they're added to his army, but he has a limit of 10. That's why it's called the 10 Shadows technique. He's able to summon a wolf by making his hand similar to that of a wolf. Summon a bird by making his hand make the sign of a bird, or just make certain hand gestures like it's both of his fists sticking out. He's able to summon monarchs and such as Maharaga. That's an example of a monarch that he has, and one of the most strongest that the 10 Shadows technique has to offer. Also, it's not only used for summoning, he can also use it to go into other people's shadows and do a stealthy takedown. That's also another way of, using the 10 shadows technique. It's really cool and very versatile and useful. And trust me, once I get to the fights of this, your guys are gonna love it because of how crispy and clean it is. Well, with that out of the way, let's get started with the What If boys. The current day would be Kushina giving labor to their son Naruto, as also they'd be all stationed in a secluded area of the village that was top secret and basically kept from anyone but the third Hokage and fourth, as well as some doctors, Anbu, and the wife of Lord Third. But while this was all happening, a uninvited and unexpected masked figure would begin to take down each and every guard while Kushina was in the middle of labor. But thankfully, Minato would be holding down the seal, pouring his chakra into the seal to keep it sealed, while Kushina was trying her best to get Naruto out before Minato would end up being out of chakra and letting out and basically passing out from fatigue and exhaustion. But thankfully, it was all a success. They were able to get Naruto out, and Kushina was able to basically, keep Kurama sealed inside. But as the doctors began to wrap Naruto in a cloth and were about to go and pass Naruto over to Kushina, a masked figure would have taken each and every single doctor down, as then the masked figure would be holding Naruto as he'd take out a kunai and would point at his neck saying, "If you make any moves, Yellow Flash, this boy dies." But Minato's eyes would widen as then, quickly and very fast, Obito / the masked man, come on guys, Naruto's old as hell. I mean, you guys should not know who this guy is and should be watching this with that type of conscience. So I'm just gonna refer to him as Obito for the sake of convenience, because it's quite annoying having to call them that because I know who he is and it's annoying. I just want to refer to him as Obito, you guys, just so you know, FYI. And I'm getting sidetracked again, like I usually do. My bad. Let me get back to the what if now. So yeah, he placed an explosive tag on the wrap of Naruto as he then tossed it in midair, and Minato would quickly toss his flying Rajin kunai and would catch Naruto as he take off the cloth quickly, as he then appear inside of the base on where one of his flying Rajin kunai were located, or basically, multiple. His base is just covered in them. just in case for a situation like this were to happen where he were pinned against an impossible situation. Basically, that's what he would do. As he was rendezvoused at the base that he had made, he equipped his fourth Hokage cloak as he then had wrapped Naruto in a new cloth. As he placed him down on the bed, as Minato would turn around and look at him, saying, "Don't worry, my son. I'll make sure to get your mother. She'll be safe and sound. You just wait here, and I'll make sure to bring her back." With that being said, Minato would then basically make his way towards the giant chakra signature where the masked man was located / Obito and his wife Kushina. And as Obito was performing the ritual and extracting the nine tails, Kushina would just be screaming and yelling in agonizing pain during it all. As basically she'd just slowly begin to give up as Obito watched and began to snicker a bit and laugh maniacally during it all. As Kurama came out, Obito would look at him and he'd say, "Well then, you stupid fox, I'm gonna allow you, out of a common courtesy, with your last bit of free will that you have left, to attack your captor, to kill your master. And that's out of my common courtesy. Now don't mess up this chance before I put you under my control." As Kurama would then raise its hand and would then about to crush Kushina, Minato would arrive at the last second and would grab Kushina and would teleport away. As then, Kushina would then be back at the base, and Obito would look up at the Nine Tails as they both lock eyes, and then Obito would say, "You wasted your chance, what a pity." As then, Obito would begin to place the Nine Tails under a Genjutsu as it would now be under his full control. And as basically Minato began to talk with Kushina and began to, reassure her that Naruto is right there and that she needs to rest and regain her strength because they're probably going to need her help to seal the Nine Tails once again. And Kushina would nod as she began to comfort Naruto and hugged her as she hugged him and basically gave him a tight embrace. As Minato had a smile on his face and would then appear back at the village, having where one of his flying Rajin where kunai were placed at. And now I'm going to skip some parts for the sake of convenience because you guys already know that most of these parts, to be fair, it's quite literally a waste of time at this point. So again, for the sake of convenience, I'm just going to skip some of these parts. No, Minato would have beaten the Masked Man / Obito. Then at the final moments, Kushina would have arrived, then basically wrapped around Kurama in chains. But due to the fact that she was weakened, she wasn't able to stop him and hold him back. And Naruto would be in a cradle because they planned on sealing the Nine Tails inside of Naruto. But as they saw that Kurama was about to pierce Naruto with his finger, both Minato and Kushina would instinctively, due to their motherly or fatherly instincts, would jump in front of the nail and take the attack, both of them being pierced, as they'd stop it from advancing towards Naruto, as they'd both begin to cough out blood. As Minato would begin to form the Reaper Death Seal, and Kushina would begin to say her last words to Naruto, and Minato choosing to say a couple of words himself, as Hiruzen would arrive and would see what was happening, as Minato would have sealed half of the Nine Tails in him and would have given the other half to Naruto. As now, basically, they would have passed on, and Kushina would have given her final words to Hiruzen, saying to take care of Naruto while they were basically gone, because no one would be able to. And Hiruzen would, of course, agree to this due to the fact that that's a dying request from the two saviors of the Leaf Village, and also Naruto as well, basically due to the fact that he's now going to have to be known as a demon child for the rest of his life. So yeah, he's going to have to go through that hard life. But now, this is where we're going to get to the Megumi part. Well, Megumi would just be resting on his bed with his eyes closed as then he'd hear the sound of thunder as he opened them and would see a shadowy figure over him as he's basically completely immobilized and couldn't move, as the shadow's hand would begin to extend as it began to cover his face, as all of a sudden Megumi would scream only to wake up in another body. Megumi would then just look at his hand and notice that he seemed to be okay, but then he'd get up and he'd notice that he's far smaller than he used to be. As then when he noticed this, he'd immediately run towards the mirror and look in it, as then he'd see that he has yellow hair and whiskers. But that's all because he's now basically Naruto. Megumi would let out a sigh as he said, "You've got to be kidding me. What the hell happened to me? Why am I in the body of some child?" Because yeah, Naruto at this point would be like 10 years old. 10 years old. I'm gonna age him up a bit. As basically all the memories that Naruto had gone through would just begin to slowly flood into the head of Megumi. Like in just a boom. Just like a random boom, you know? Just like some big giant explosion just randomly just popped up in his head of just full of information. As he just had to sit down and just start processing all of that. So, as he said, so I'm a demon child, my parents are dead, and I'm treated like crap among the villagers basically due to the fact that I am the reason they're all not dead. Great. My life is just as bad as it used to be. How amazing. As he then get up and would knows that he would have to quickly adapt to this new lifestyle, and him crying and whining and complaining about it wasn't going to do anything, because the likelihood of him returning back to the life he used to be in is not very likely. And also, this is going to be a JJK spoiler, but I'm doing the Megumi after the Shibuya incident, just so you guys know. So he's not gonna have all of his cursed spirits, but he's gonna have an extensive amount of knowledge in cursed energy, and he's gonna be able to summon his demon dogs, he's gonna be able to summon Nue, and he's gonna be able to summon Maximum Elephant. But he's only able to summon one of each of them, only just a single individual one, due to the fact of his stature and body isn't going to be able to withstand and uphold all of the cursed energy that he has in him. So you got, just so you guys know, FYI. So it's easier for you guys to understand if I ever use them. Alright? And also, he's going to have an understanding over chakra too, because of the fact that Naruto is in the classes learning about him, so he's not going to just be only using cursed energy. He's going to use both chakra and cursed energy, making him an overall more versatile Naruto, you know? Being able to use both basically powers at the same time in conjunction with each other, basically being able to become more powerful overall. Again, FYI, sorry for me going on such a long tangent. I'm gonna get back to the what if now. As basically after that, Megumi, as I'm gonna refer to him as from now on, Megumi would just start walking to his classes. He'd sit down in his usual spot, and Aruka would just look at him and would notice, that's weird. He didn't try painting any of the faces on the monument. He isn't making any ruckuses. Something's odd. Well, thank God, at least one other trouble I'm not going to deal with. As now, all of a sudden, the class would just begin as Aruka would just yell, saying that. As basically sweat would just drip down each of the kids' heads that were listening due to the fact that their teacher's embarrassing as hell. But with that out of the way, Aruka would just basically say each and every one of them have to form a clone. Every student would form a clone just fine. Maximum 2. The most the kid was able to form was 3. But now it'd be Megumi's turn, and every kid knew that Naruto just didn't listen. But the person that was now in Naruto's body was no longer Naruto, it was Megumi. So this would be different. As Megumi would then walk in front of the class and would just form a hand sign, as instead of 3 clones forming, it would be 10. Because of the fact of how great Megumi is and how much of a battle genius and just how good he is at like basically learning things after he applies himself. Because just so you guys know, he would have tried out a bit of how chakra works, just a bit, you know, just a bit of a sparkle to see the works of it and if it's similar to Christian energy, which it was. So it was fairly easy to access it, you know. It's basically a form of spiritual energy, so he has somewhat of a prowess in using spiritual energy. Cursed energy is also probably related to spiritual energy as well, so again, FYI, just so you guys know. I hope you guys like it, what I'm doing with this what if so far. Make sure to like, subscribe, boys. Well, with that, every single kid and even Aruka's jaw would just drop at this realization that Naruto, Megumi, had just summoned 10 clones when the highest amount was only 3. As then Aruka would just look at Naruto and say, you obviously cheated. There's no way that you could have made these many clones. There's just no way. As Megumi would just start scratching his head, saying, I don't know what to tell you about old fart. I've just simply built different, I guess. Whatever. You've passed. Go into the line with the rest of the kids. Thank God, man. I don't gotta deal with this anymore. As then, Megumi would put his hands in his pockets as he'd begin to walk into the line with the rest of the kids. Some of them in awe and, you know, looking up to him in a way now since he's so cool, and some hating him due to the fact that he's the demon child. And yeah, that's basically how it would be for the rest of the day. The highest score still being 10, no one being able to get above him. No one nowhere near above him at all. As every single kid would get a headband, you know, as they'd all graduate as Genin, since they all were able to form clones. So after that, Megumi would just look at the headband, and instead of putting it on his head, he would just tie the headband around his wrist as he then just put it like that. As you know, like a bit of a bracelet. As he'd look at it and say, this is pretty neat. Well then, I guess I gotta start training now, you know? Can't allow myself to get sloppy. I have to be strong. Can't allow myself to get bullied by others. Gotta make sure that I try to at least overcome my fears and become stronger like I was planning on in my last life at least. As all of a sudden, he'd just start training. He'd just start punching wood, training, practicing with both his cursed energy and chakra for the entire day. Basically gaining a greater and overall better understanding of his chakra and the fact that he has such amazing reserves of chakra, and that's due to the fact that he's an Uzumaki. And Uzumakis tend to have great chakra reserves, so yeah, just so you guys know. It's a really cool touch, you know? I'm adding to it a little sprinkle. That's a fact. Well, yeah, he'd have just amazing chakra reserves, so he'd be able to perform great amount of chakra related attacks and jutsus, which he doesn't have any currently, but later along the line he's gonna have some. But all of a sudden, Megumi would just start hearing rustling, as then a teacher would pop out from the woods. As all of a sudden, Megumi would back up a bit, as the teacher would be Mitsuki, as she said, "Hey Naruto, do you mind doing a favor for me?" What's the favor that you're asking of me? There's this scroll, and I want you to steal it for me. It's a part of a secret mission that someone has given me, and you'll also be able to go up a rank in the academy. You'll be able to actually even graduate early if you were able to get this scroll for me. Megumi would just look directly at Mitsuki and would just say in his head, This guy's full of shit. He's obviously lying to me. I mean, come on. If such an easy way were to come out, then everyone would do it. But he's obviously doing this because he believes I'm still that naive brat that used to be in this body. Well, I guess I can just play along with it for the time being. As then Megumi would say, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do it gladly." As then Mitsuki would say, "Hey, yeah, great." As then he'd all of a sudden be cut off. As then Megumi would form his hands in the sign of an elephant. As all of a sudden the max elephant would be summoned. As he charged, as it fired just a whole pillar of water toward Mitsuki. That Mitsuki's eyes widening as he was shocked as he jumped up to avoid it. But then Megumi would have jumped up, focusing chakra and cursed energy to his feet to jump up even higher than Mitsuki and would clobber him in the head, basically covering his fist in cursed energy as he punched him in the head and send him down to the ground where the stream of water was in it as it hit Mitsuki. As it would just render him unconscious, as it form basically like a crater with Mitsuki in the middle unconscious, his eyes rolled back. As Aruka would arrive and say, "Naruto, are you alright?" As all his eyes would widen and jaw would drop once again at the shock that he had just witnessed. Is that Mitsuki? What the hell? How were you able to take him out? You're only a genin, Naruto. Huh? Yeah, I guess I am. And he was a chunin. Yeah, I know he's a chunin. You don't understand how amazing of a feat you just accomplished. I don't know what you're talking about, Aruka Sensei. He wasn't all that. He was all bark and no bite, honestly. Pretty pathetic, if you ask me. Well, nonetheless, Naruto, you still did a great feat. I'll make sure to put in a good word for Lord Third. No, there's no need for that. What do you mean there's no need for that? I mean, there's no need for that. I don't need to get praised. I simply did this because this guy was trying to manipulate me and use me as bait because he thought I was a fool, and I am no fool. I'm not an idiot. Or an idiot that I used to be. I see now. Yeah, I don't want any recognition, especially from that old man. I can assure you, I can take care of myself, and I'm fine. I don't need any type of compensation, as I was basically doing this for my own needs, and basically for myself, so don't worry about it. As Aruka would nod his head as he'd say, "Alright then." As now, we're gonna do a couple more years of a time skip. We're gonna do like a 4-year time skip. Yeah, no, a 5-year time skip. As now Megumi would be 15 years old, and they'd be in the academy once again. As Aruka would announce the teams for each kid. Alright, as he'd announced every team, and now it would be Team 7 that was being announced. Alright, Team 7 is going to be Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto. Both Naruto and Sasuke would just be shocked at this fact, because that they would both be on the same team, but rather more shocked at the fact that they had to be on the same team with Sakura, and Sakura would just let out the weirdest screech that ever heard that a woman would ever make, due to the fact that she's on the same team as Sasuke-kun. Yeah, well, basically she just put it in the face of Ino and basically just bragged to every girl in the class that she's on the same team as Sasuke. And well, you already know, they'd get into a giant cat fight and it would just be weird. And every student would just go with their teachers, but then, of course, Team 7 would be last as Kakashi would begin to arrive, and Naruto would have had his head placed down against the desk with basically just resting there. Sasuke's playing with his kunai and Sakura trying to talk to him awkwardly, but Sasuke ignoring her, of course. Kakashi would go into class and just look and just basically be at awe how odd these kids were and how odd they looked, as he basically thought to himself, All these kids are freaking weirdos, man. I swear. I have rotten luck, I tell you, rotten luck. As he'd say, well then, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry for being late. Let's go up to the roof for orientation. As he then go up to the roof with the rest of the students, as he'd say, Sasuke, you first. Well, I want to kill a certain someone, and that certain someone is someone I despise with every fiber of my being. As basically everyone would be silent, and Kakashi would just say, well then, alright emo kid. Alright Sakura, what is it, your goals? Sakura would just look at Kakashi as he said, I wish I want to be, And Naruto would just cut her off. Just stop with that sissy shit. I'll go. I simply want to be known as the strongest. I just want to be not bullied and feared, you know? Honestly, because trust me, if you had to deal with what I had to deal with on a daily basis on being despised and neglected because of the fact that you have a demon forcefully put in you at birth, I'm pretty sure you would be as mad as I am and would have such a similar dream to me. Kakashi would nod, basically, you know, relating to Naruto and basically do the same thing if he was him, because man, no one wants to get slandered every single day for something that they didn't even do and that was against their control. So he basically could feel his pain in a way due to the fact that he was neglected at a certain point by his father, you know? He just felt his pain in a way and felt loss. Can relate to Naruto, so he nodded in approval and said, alright, you're the only person in this team that seems to make sense and be normal. Well then, alright, tomorrow we're gonna be going to the training grounds. Don't eat anything, or I'll make sure you throw it up. As then, Kakashi would form a hand sign as he'd poof in the smoke, as Megumi would then turn around and simply walk away. Sasuke walking in a separate direction and Sakura following Sasuke shortly behind. As it would be the next day and Naruto would just be training, and Sasuke would be training as well, and Sakura would just be sitting down on a rock, just throwing rocks, you know, basically passing the time, and Kakashi would have been late by an hour, as they'd all be starving as well, but they'd just fight their hunger and continue on and continue training as a way of being warmed up. As Kakashi would arrive again and say, man, I was sorry yet again. Sorry guys, I must have lost track of time. As all three of them at the same time would say, stop bullshitting. We all know that you're just being late purposely at this point, man. Stop lying. You're a horrible one at that. Kakashi would say, jeez, man, you guys are just being a bit too much now. Just relax. Okay, if I'm late again, you can throw chalk at my head, okay? All three of them would just look at each other and smile a bit, as sweat would begin to drip down Kakashi's head as he said, Jesus, what have I done? Well then, we're gonna be doing a bell test today. I have 2 bells, and depending on which one of you collect these bells, the other one who doesn't collect one of these bells will be sent back to the academy. Am I understood? And without a second word, Naruto would have charged forward, as well as followed by Sasuke, as they'd both just be in sync for some reason. They don't know why. Sakura would just be sitting back, and Kakashi would just be shocked at the fact that how synchronized they were, even though they seemed to despise each other for some reason. But maybe because of the fact that they have a common goal, they work together fairly well. So yeah, it's neat. As Naruto would then form his hand into signs, as he then summon Nue, and would also summon Demon Dog, 2 demon dogs, white and black. As they'd all charge towards him, as Kakashi would be shocked, as he'd avoid devoured, but then would get bitten in the legs by the demon dogs as he poof in the smoke. As the poof would disorientate Sasuke a bit, as then Naruto would then sense where Kakashi was as he'd be reading his book, Ichi Ichi Paradise. As he said, "Man, Naruto, you truly are special. What kind of Kekkei Genkai is that now?" "What do you mean Kekkei Genkai? I was just born with this. I don't know my parents. I don't know what they do. I don't know what clans they were a part of. I don't really care, honestly. I was just born with this power." "Well, that's interesting," as Kakashi would then close his book saying, "I guess I'm gonna have to go a bit serious on you guys because of the fact that those summonings are gonna be quite annoying to have to deal with on top of you two as well." As Kakashi would then charge towards Sasuke, trying to handle him first, as then all of a sudden, Nue would have charged electricity around its body as it rammed into Kakashi, as Kakashi would swiftly jump up again, focusing Chakra to his feet and landing on it as he'd kick Sasuke in the stomach at a basically unprecedented speed, as Sasuke would be able to block it, but he'd feel like his entire body was just rattling due to the amount of force that Kakashi put into his kick, and would send Sasuke flying back. As Sasuke would hit the wall and would basically be rendered unconscious for a while. As then the two devil dogs would charge Kakashi again, and Kakashi would basically take out a kunai as he charged towards the devil dogs as he'd do a singular slash. But Naruto would have ran forward, sheathing a black blade, and blocked the kunai. As Nue charged once again, and the devil dogs would charge from two sides as they'd bite Kakashi at the sides, and the Nue would charge into Kakashi as it ran into him again, and Kakashi, not having any type of clones, wouldn't be able to prepare himself for this as he'd get rammed and shocked. As Kakashi would basically yell in pain as he basically fell down to his knee and would begin to cough up a bit of blood as the dogs were still biting deep into his sides. And as Sasuke woke up, he'd see that Kakashi, the copy ninja, was in such a vulnerable state, and he would be shocked. What the hell? As then, Naruto would take the bells from Kakashi and would toss one to Sasuke, Sakura watching all of this from the sidelines. As Kakashi would say, "Damn it, I admit defeat. Well then, the point of this lesson was so that you all can work together. But seeing that you and Sasuke seem to show a bit of teamwork and you guys seem to be in sync for the most part, except for you, Sakura, you guys all pass. The point of the lesson was teamwork, so you guys seem to show a bit of that at least." And Naruto, again, those summonings are very, very special. They'll indeed be very interesting in the upcoming past. Or my god, in the future. They'll definitely be a great help to us. I bet they sure will. I just need to practice with them more. I'll eventually become more and more in sync with my summonings over time. I see. That's very interesting. Keep that in mind. As Naruto would nod as he then would go home and simply rest for the day. As that is going to be the end of part 1 of What If Naruto Was Megumi. Now I know that was a bit abrupt and a bit of a weird cliffhanger to leave off on, but like I said, I felt like this was the perfect point to leave off on due to the fact that the next part's gonna be the Tazuna escort mission, and it's gonna be covering all that stuff. And this video is already fairly long, so I wanted to stop it here because I'm not trying to make a movie special off this, It's already pretty long. It's gonna be my longest vid, so, I hope you guys like it too. And with that out of the way, please like and subscribe, inform your friends of my channel, and spread the good word. And with that out of the way, peace out, fam. Better say I won't say nothing. Now we gon' find that hoe that you cuffin'. Pull up on me, little boy.